Hello, how are you guys doing? We are starting a new project that's actually going to take a few days, and I think you'll really like it. So this is Batik, which is actually a fabric dyeing method using wax and wax resist. It's an Indonesian technique, and so it looks really cool. The idea is you use the wax to create a resist so the dye will not stay on that part of the fabric, and you'll basically create these white spaces, these beautiful spaces. We're actually gonna take a white bandana, and I don't know about you, but I love bandanas, especially in the summer. Just you could use it, you know, as a hair tie, of course, or just anything. So even now, you know, masks are cool, so you could use it for a mask, whatever. You're gonna get a big bandana just like this, and you're going to draw something. You're gonna draw an image, you're gonna trace it with Sharpie, and then basically trace the image onto the bandana using gel glue. This has been proven to work the best. And then paint the bandana. When you're all done, you're gonna wash the gel glue out so it's just like that wax would do in a traditional batik, and create these negative spaces. So let me show you mine. Okay, this is what I did. And you'll see all of the steps on how I do it. I did these little flowers, and really you can see I drew everything with the gel glue, and then when I washed it, it all kind of washed away. So this just dried outside. I even put some words on it. That's another option for you to kind of draw something and then just paint over it, or draw with the gel, I should say. So this is my bandana that I have completed. So I'm going to teach you all of the steps on how to do your batik. This is one that you're gonna have to do a step, let it dry overnight, do a step, let it dry overnight, and then you'll be done, okay? So have fun with this, pay attention to all the steps, and you really kind of the sky's the limit on what kind of pattern or anything you want to do with this, okay? So enjoy, I think you'll like it. Okay guys, we're gonna get started with our batik, and I'll show you what we're gonna do to sketch out the design that you want. If you're really particular and you want every detail sketched out first, that's how I'm gonna go through this. If you like to just kind of make it up as you go, you can also do that. So you'll skip this step, but I do suggest starting here. It's a really big surface that we're working with, and so you wanna have kind of an idea of what your design is going to be. Your design can be unique in any way you want, but I would start by thinking, what do I want to have in my design? What do I want it to include? So I'm going to be showing you those steps, okay? For this, you're going to need 4 sheets of paper. You'll notice that your bandana is quite large, okay? And we're going to fill this whole area with design and shape. We're doing the batiking style, which I explained earlier, which is basically traditionally a lost wax procedure. We're going to be using gel glue. So I'm going to take my 4 pieces of paper and my tape, and I'm just going to lay them out depending on what angle you're at. I'm going to lay them all vertically, overlapping just a little bit. This is not the exact size of your bandana, but close enough, right? Okay, so I'm going to lay these out. If you compare with the bandana, you'll notice you're not going to get a perfect fit, but it's pretty close. So, and I feel like I could do the sides on my own. I'm going to take some tape and just tape this together. Again, doesn't have to be perfect, okay? So now that I've taped it together, I didn't quite get the tape perfectly on there. I've got some tape that's hanging off the ends, no big deal, okay? You have a really big canvas to work with, which is kind of fun. Please don't spend forever making a little tiny small design. You are going to be tracing this with glue eventually, and so you don't want to have tiny little designs where it's really hard, because that might just turn into a blob of glue, okay? So with the batiking process, sometimes you'll lose a little bit, gain a little bit in your design. So I'm going to turn this over, and now I have a huge canvas to work with. So what do you want on your canvas? Do whatever you want, okay? Just take your pencil, should have an eraser, and sketch out a design. You could do a summary design, you could just do a pattern if you wanted it to be a full pattern. So just think whatever you want. Maybe you want your name in big letters. I might actually do that. So just make your design. You'll draw with a pencil and then trace with Sharpie, okay? So that's the next step. Have fun. I did my design and I stuck with a floral motif. So let me just show you kind of what I did. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect because you're tracing with glue. I did pencil and then I did the Sharpie. So I did some big sunflowers and then I did these little flowers that are really easy to make. If you want to learn, I'll teach you how to do those as well. And then just some vines. So what you're going to do next is you need to make sure you just have a big enough surface to do this. Take your handkerchief or bandana, lay it on here. Like I said, it's not going to be a perfect fit, but it should be close enough. Oh, I forgot. Take the wax paper and lay it over. This is why the Sharpie is so important, because without the wax, with the wax paper and everything, you really want to make sure that it shows. I'm going to use a little bit of tape because I tend to move things around. So again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just get it the best you can. And I am taping this to my table. Okay? So, next step. Now, the bandana. Lay it on. And I am going to tape this down too, just for reference. Okay? My design has a little bit of extra on the sides, and so I'm going to adjust my design just a little bit when I'm tracing, but not much. I might do like a word down here actually and just add that on. Okay. Make sure it's kind of taut so that it is a flat surface and it doesn't have wrinkles in it. It's going to be wrinkly, but try to pull them like that. Okay? So, now you're ready. So you want to apply this glue pretty liberally. This is basically going to create a negative space. So this is eventually going to be washed out and we're going to have the white showing through. We're going to paint over this, and so we want the glue to really create that barrier on the fabric itself before we paint it. So when you do this, please make sure you want to get enough glue. Okay, make sure you really do your best to just kind of follow the lines, and you want them fairly thick. Don't worry about making it, don't worry about like making it super thin. Try to get as thick as possible because you really want that barrier there. There it kind of messed up, so I went over again. Take your time drawing with glue. It is sometimes a little difficult. I would start with just a light squeeze, and then as you feel more comfortable, start to squeeze more. Okay, so have fun with your gel. Just creating, like I said, this is going to be a barrier that's going to be created, and so we'll be painting over this after it dries. Really important, what I'm noticing, just a few things. Make sure that that handkerchief is really pulled. I can see right here I didn't pull it enough, and so I may just need to go back. But again, I'm just tracing the lines, taking my time. This is going to take probably overnight to dry. That's why we're doing this in a few days. This is one of those like work on it a little bit, come back to it. Especially because I did these little intricate flowers. This one's easy, but the smaller ones might take me a little more time. So have fun with it. I'll show an overhead shot of what I'm doing in just a minute so you can see. Okay? Okay, I wanted you to see this closer up. You can see the gel is creating that blue line. Hopefully you can see it. I know it's kind of hard to see. And I'm just going over all the Sharpie lines, okay? Sometimes like these circles, I'm just making them a little bit bigger. And you'll notice the glue is fairly thick. You really want to make sure you get it on there so it's going to attach to the fabric as much as possible. Okay? So I'm gonna keep going. Like I said, I have a little excess on the bottom here because my paper design is smaller. So I think I'm gonna write like some word there or something like that. I'm not sure. Do you see? You can kind of see it glisten. Once I've let it dry for just a minute, I've noticed that, you know, like right here, it doesn't have a lot of glue. So I'm gonna go back and add a little bit more. And then I'm gonna start on my flowers, okay? So have fun with this, enjoy. Like I said earlier, if you didn't take that step, if you were just kind of wanted to draw with glue, you could do that too. Or if you noticed your design was lacking something and you wanted to add, you can do that as well. I'm noticing as I'm doing this that it's easier if I squeeze the bottle with my full palm. So, okay, have fun, enjoy. Guys, welcome back. Okay, so I let my bandana with the gel glue dry overnight, and the next day, or when I took it off, it did stick to the wax paper a little bit. I just want to show you. You may have some wax paper stuck. It's totally fine. Just peel it off. Make sure you get all those pieces. Okay, and now we're ready to paint it. So this is going to take a while. I'm not going to have you watch me paint the whole thing. That would be boring. But set down your bandana on a covered surface. So ask your parents for something. Make sure your surface is covered where you're painting. I have an old mat that I use for painting all the time. Whatever you have, you could even just get a bag, a trash bag, and lay it out. That would be a great idea because then you could kind of move it off the table if needed. So when you paint, okay, make sure you're painting with the gel side up. You should be able to tell because it should be a little sparkly. You should be able to see through it. Now it's really important when you're painting, you can paint over the gel lines. Totally fine, okay? Because it's creating a barrier. The idea is that gel is gonna wash out and it's gonna create a white negative space, basically. And so it'll look really cool to contrast with the white and then the colors of the paint. So fill your palette up. I've got my primary colors here, and then I also have white and black. And with your palette, you can mix different colors to make it lighter or darker, whatever you'd like. Go crazy and have fun with this. If you have your own paints as well, these are acrylic paints, so just make sure you stick with acrylic. Has to be acrylic. You don't want water-based paint, otherwise that'll just wash out. When we wash this, we're actually going to let it dry and rinse it, and then we're going to, you'll be able to see the cool batiking style, okay? You're really gonna like this. So I have different brushes. I even have my bigger sponge brush just in case I have a really big area. So I'm gonna start with my brush. I've got some really big flowers, so I'm just gonna kind of pick up some yellow. And you might just need to hold down as you're painting, okay? Just hold. And I honestly am not worried about staying in the lines because I already drew those lines. So don't worry about that, okay? Like if you go over the gel, not a problem. So I'm just painting my lines, okay? And have fun with this. Take your time. You may want to work on it a little bit and come back, okay? I'll show you my finished product when it's all done, okay? Have fun. Bye, guys. I finished all the painting. There we go. Okay, so I took this the next morning. This dried. It did stick to my tablecloth a little bit. I actually pulled it up while it was halfway dry from the tablecloth just so it wouldn't stick. It's an old cloth, and so some of the plastic of the tablecloth stuck on it. I filled a bowl with hot water. Okay, pretty warm or hot water would work. So have your parents do this. I'm gonna take my bandana, and you need to soak it. Hold on. So take this and you're just gonna set it in. If it's hot, again, be careful,
Okay, I'm gonna use my fingers, you can use a spoon. And you just wanna soak this for at least 15 minutes in the hot water. What we're trying to do is dissolve the glue. After you've soaked it for that amount of time, just set a timer, come back, and then you're gonna come back and you're basically just gonna kind of rub the fabric, and you rub where the glue was. You'll feel it on your fingers, but you just kind of want to get that glue to wash away. So I'm going to sit there and I will soak it and I'll come back. Okay, it has sat for 15 minutes. You can see the water's pretty cloudy. I got a little nervous because some of the paint was flaking, but that's everything that was just in that in the areas where the glue was. So you can see it's starting to separate. I don't know if you can really see that. I'm gonna take my finger and just rub it in the fabric. You can feel the gel glue. It's kind of like slime. So I'm just rubbing it away so I can see the white space show through. So really you just gotta take your fingers, make sure the water's not too hot, and just rub everything away. This will take a minute. Once I have done that, I'm just gonna lay this outside to dry, which it's so hot, that won't take very long. So again, you're just kind of rubbing, go through the whole thing so that you're separating the glue. Don't worry about the paint that's flaking off, okay? You should be fine. Like, look how that flower is starting to show up. You can see everywhere the glue was. There was paint all over this, so it just flaked off. You can see it's starting to flake. You can see those little pieces, but it's gonna look so good. So just keep working with your fabric, okay? Be patient with yourself as you get all of that gel glue out. See, look at this flower. You can kind of see it just looks like a mess. And then I'm gonna rub it, really get all the gel out. And it's gonna look so good. So have fun, keep going, and I'll let you see it when it dries, okay?
Okay, just wanted to show you I'm outside because this is where it dried. But I wanted to show you my batik when it was all done, and my bandana. And so, anyway, it looks really cool. And you can see the contrast. I did some words, so if you wanted to do that, it really shows up really well once you wash off the gel glue. And I've got the flowers and everything. And so I love this fabric. I could do tons of stuff with it. And just with the bandana, you can use it throughout the summer. You can wear it as a head wrap, hair wrap, whatever you'd like to do. Every summer, you need a bandana, right? Fold it up, and I've got my beautifully designed wrap. So, where we're at, have fun.